In every major city, stories unfold quietly. Stories of survival, injustice, and unexpected connections. Some lives run on parallel tracks, never touching, until fate forces a collision that changes everything. This story begins on a cold weekday morning where the fast-paced world of power and wealth brushes against the overlooked reality of homelessness. But within this clash lies a powerful truth. Sometimes the people society dismisses are the ones who carry the deepest strength, and sometimes the people at the top are the ones most willing to listen. Our tale follows two black men living in completely different worlds. One is Jamal Rivers, a once promising carpenter turned homeless wanderer after a cascade of tragedies left him with nothing but a backpack and the clothes on his back. The other is Elijah Grant, a billionaire tech CEO known for his calm intelligence, fierce strategic mind, and quiet philanthropy. Their paths should never have crossed, yet destiny had a different plan. When a wrongful arrest, born of prejudice, assumptions, and hurried judgment, threatens to crush Jamal's spirit, Elijah finds himself witnessing everything from a distance. What he sees ignites something powerful inside him: anger, compassion, and the unmistakable conviction that this moment is part of something bigger. This story is about injustice, redemption, and the extraordinary impact one person can have when they choose not to look away. The city of Lincoln Heights woke slowly. Street sweepers hummed through the early morning fog while tired commuters shuffled toward bus stops and corner cafes. On Grant Avenue, named long before Elijah Grant ever built his empire, a lone figure sat on a cold stone bench near the plaza fountain. Jamal Rivers pulled his threadbare jacket tighter, shivering as a gust of wet wind cut through him. He had slept outside again, even though the shelter around the corner had space last night. But the shelter came with shouting, arguments, and a smell that made it impossible to rest. He preferred the open air, even if it meant waking up numb. His stomach growled loudly enough that he winced. He hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon when a bakery owner slipped him a muffin after closing. He touched his chest pocket. Empty. No money. No food, no real plan. Still, Jamal stood up, cracked his sore neck, and began his routine of scanning the plaza trash bins. Not for food this time. He hoped to find recyclables to trade for a few coins. His pride resisted, but hunger doesn't negotiate. Across the street, a sleek black electric SUV rolled to a gentle stop in front of Eclipse Tower, headquarters of Grant Technologies. Inside the vehicle, Elijah Grant sipped his morning herbal tea and reviewed the day's briefing on a tablet. His expression shifted between deep focus and mild boredom. Another meeting, another acquisition proposal, another investor pitch. Success was heavy, and some mornings he felt it. His driver stepped out to prepare the door, but Elijah held up a hand. Through the window, something in the plaza caught his attention. A police cruiser had pulled up to the sidewalk near the fountain. Two officers stepped out. Jamal didn't notice. He was busy lifting the lid of a recycling bin. Elijah leaned closer. The officers approached Jamal from behind. "What do we have here?" one of them said loudly. Jamal froze, confused. "I'm just checking for cans. I ain't bothering nobody." "Step away from the bin," the officer barked. Jamal lifted his hands slowly. Okay. From the SUV, Elijah frowned. Something felt wrong. Pedestrians passing by turned their heads, some slowing down to watch, others speeding up to avoid involvement. "You match the description of a suspect," the second officer said. Jamal blinked. "A suspect? I just woke up." "Don't get smart," the first officer snapped. He grabbed Jamal's arm. "Wait, I didn't." Before he could finish, they twisted his arms behind his back and slammed him against the side of the recycling bin. Pain shot up his shoulder. "I didn't do anything," Jamal gasped. Elijah's jaw tightened as he watched the scene unfold through the tinted window. This wasn't policing. This was profiling. "Sir, should I proceed upstairs?" the driver asked. Elijah put the tablet aside. "No, not yet." Back at the plaza, Jamal's heart pounded. "Please," he said, voice cracking. "I didn't steal nothing. I ain't hurt nobody." "Tell it downtown," the officer muttered, tugging on the cuffs. A few people filmed with their phones, but no one stepped forward. Elijah exhaled sharply. This was the part he hated. The city prided itself on fairness, yet scenes like this were far too common. He opened his door and stepped out. The driver panicked. "Sir, security protocol." Elijah shut the door. "It's fine." He walked across the street with calm, steady steps. His presence was immediately noticeable. Tall, well-dressed, and unmistakably someone important. As he approached, one officer glanced over. His expression flickered from annoyance to uncertainty. "Morning, officers," Elijah said. His voice was smooth, controlled. "This is a police matter," the taller officer replied. "Move along, sir." Elijah gave a polite but firm smile. "I understand. And I also understand that you're arresting this man without explaining the charge." "He matches a suspect description?" the officer repeated. "What description?" Elijah asked. "Be specific." "We're not required to disclose details." "Actually," Elijah said, "you are required to provide reasonable suspicion when detaining someone." Jamal turned his head slightly. He didn't know who this well-spoken stranger was, but for the first time he felt a flicker of hope. The second officer cleared his throat. "Look, sir, we're just doing our job." "And I appreciate that," Elijah said, "but I've been watching since you arrived. He hasn't threatened anyone. He hasn't resisted. He hasn't even raised his voice." People around the plaza began murmuring. Some recorded more boldly now. The taller officer stiffened. "Are you interfering with an arrest?" "No," Elijah replied calmly. "I'm witnessing it. There's a difference." The officers exchanged a look, annoyance mixed with hesitation. They recognized him now. Elijah Grant wasn't just any citizen. He was the billionaire owner of the tower behind them and a highly respected figure citywide. Still, protocol demanded stubbornness. "Sir," the first officer said tightly, "this man was reported hanging around the storefronts earlier this morning." "So is half the city," Elijah replied. "Walking isn't a crime." The second officer sighed. "Look, let's just take him in, run his ID, and—" "He doesn't have ID," Elijah said. "He's homeless." Silence. Jamal felt his throat tighten. The officers shifted uncomfortably. "Then he could be anyone," the taller one said. "Or he could be someone who deserves dignity," Elijah responded. Those words hit Jamal harder than anything else spoken that morning. For the first time in months, someone spoke for him instead of about him. Elijah stepped closer. "Officers, release him." "We can't." "Oh, you can," Elijah said. "Because I am formally stating that I witnessed no criminal behavior. If you arrest him without evidence, your department will answer for it." Now both officers hesitated. After a brief tense moment, the second officer uncuffed Jamal reluctantly. "You're free to go," he muttered. Jamal rubbed his sore wrist, stunned. "Thank you," he whispered, not sure whether he meant it or not. The officers walked back to their cruiser, frustrated but unwilling to escalate the situation further. When they drove off, Elijah finally turned to Jamal. "You all right?" Jamal swallowed hard. I think so. Why'd you help me?" Elijah glanced at the plaza fountain where the morning light reflected off the water. "Because someone needed to." Jamal looked down at his worn shoes. "People don't usually step in." "I know," Elijah said quietly. A long pause stretched between them. "You hungry?" Elijah asked suddenly. Jamal hesitated. "Yeah, a bit." "Come with me," Elijah said. "Let's get breakfast." Jamal blinked in disbelief. "For real?" "For real." As they walked toward Eclipse Towers Cafe, neither man understood yet how fate had just stitched their lives together, but the city would never forget what came next. Floor-to-ceiling windows washed the room in warm daylight, and the soft hum of morning business chatter filled the air. Everyone wore suits or uniforms. Everyone except Jamal. He stood awkwardly at the entrance, his worn jacket hanging loosely off his thin shoulders, his shoes leaving faint dust on the polished tiles. He felt eyes on him from every direction. Elijah noticed. "Don't mind them," he said, guiding him toward a quiet table in the corner. "People fear what they can't imagine themselves becoming." Jamal sat down slowly. "I don't belong here." "You do now," Elijah replied. A server approached. "Good morning, Mr. Grant, the usual." "No," Elijah said, glancing at Jamal. "Bring us 2 breakfasts, something warm and heavy." The server nodded and left. Jamal exhaled deeply. "I still don't get why you helped me." Elijah's eyes softened. "Because I've been where you are." Jamal froze. "You? But you're successful?" Elijah leaned back. "Money doesn't erase a past. Before all this, before the towers, the investors, the companies. I grew up in Southport District, rough neighborhood. Not many made it out." Jamal stared. He hadn't expected that. "Life can flip on you in a second," Elijah continued, "but sometimes all it takes is one person believing you're more than your circumstances." The silence that followed felt heavy, healing even. Moments later, steaming plates of eggs, potatoes, and sausage arrived. Jamal didn't speak again until the first bite hit his tongue. His eyes closed. How long since you last ate? Elijah asked. A day, maybe more, Jamal muttered, with a mouth half full. Hard to keep track. He ate slowly at first, then faster, then desperately. Elijah said nothing. He understood. When Jamal finally slowed down, he wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. Thank you, he said. I mean it. You're welcome, Elijah replied. But then Elijah's tone shifted slightly. I saw the way those officers looked at you. Jamal stiffened. Was that your first time being hassled by police? Jamal shook his head slowly. 6th time this month. People see a black man with rough clothes and suddenly I'm dangerous. Elijah clenched his jaw. That's not who you are. You don't even know me. Elijah leaned forward. Then tell me. He spoke about the fire that destroyed his apartment, about losing his mother to illness the same week, about bouncing from job to job until everything fell apart, about sleeping under bridges, behind dumpsters and church foyers, about people ignoring him like he was air, about the constant fear of being arrested for simply existing. Through it all, Elijah listened without interrupting. You're a strong man, Elijah said quietly once Jamal finished. Stronger than most. Jamal wiped a tear he didn't want Elijah to see. You don't understand, he whispered. Every day I'm scared I won't make it to the next one. Elijah nodded slowly. I understand more than you think. After breakfast, Elijah led Jamal through a private hallway toward the elevators. You're not taking me to security, are you? Jamal asked, half joking, half terrified. Elijah chuckled. No, I want to show you something. The elevator rose smoothly, stopping at the 40th floor. The doors opened to reveal Elijah's personal office, a massive open space with glass walls, modern art, and a view that made the entire city look small and fragile. Jamal stepped inside carefully like he was afraid of breaking the room. Elijah walked to a bookshelf and pulled out a small frame picture. He handed it to Jamal. The photo showed a much younger Elijah, dirty, exhausted, but smiling, standing in front of a rundown community center beside an older man. That's Marcus, Elijah said. He used to run a program for homeless teens. He gave me food, a shower, a place to think. Then he gave me my first laptop. Jamal looked up, shocked. That laptop changed everything, Elijah said. It taught me coding, and coding built this tower. Jamal shook his head slowly. All because one person helped you, Elijah nodded. Exactly. He took the picture back gently. That's why I stepped in today, and that's why I'm asking you something important. Jamal swallowed nervously. What's that? Elijah turned and looked him in the eye. Do you want a job? Jamal blinked. A job? Yes. Here, with me. Jamal's throat tightened. I don't have skills. I don't even look right. Look at me. Elijah folded his arms. I don't care what you look like right now. I care about your character. I watched how you spoke to those officers, calm, respectful, and everything you told me today shows resilience. Jamal stepped back, overwhelmed. Elijah, I've been invisible for so long. Nobody trusts me with anything. I trust you, Elijah said softly. Those words hit like a tidal wave. Jamal covered his face with both hands. You won't regret it, he whispered. I'll work hard. I'll show up early. Elijah raised a hand gently. Take a breath. We're not rushing anything. First, I'm getting you clothes, a place to stay, a shower. After you're settled, we'll talk about the job. Jamal nodded vigorously, still trembling. Then Elijah added something unexpected. But before all that, there's somewhere we need to go. They arrived 30 minutes later. Jamal's stomach turned. Why are we here? For accountability, Elijah said. As they walked inside, officers paused and stared. Everyone recognized Elijah Grant. The chief stepped out of his office, surprised. Mr. Grant? We weren't informed of your visit. I don't schedule visits for matters like this, Elijah replied coolly. He placed a hand on Jamal's shoulder. This man was wrongfully detained this morning. I want a formal report filed. The chief blinked. A report? Yes, Elijah said, and a written apology. One of the officers who arrested Jamal appeared in the hallway, suddenly pale. Sir, the officer stammered, we were responding to a call. A store owner said, I already spoke to the store owner, Elijah said sharply. No one filed a complaint. The officer swallowed hard. Did you profile him based on appearance? Elijah asked. The officer froze. No, sir, we look at him, Elijah said, gesturing to Jamal, and then look me in the eye and swear you acted with proper cause. The officer's silence said everything. The chief sighed. I'll handle this, Mr. Grant. I know you will, Elijah said, because I'll be requesting the body cam footage myself, through legal channels if necessary. The chief nodded stiffly. That won't be needed, he muttered. We'll file the apology. Elijah turned to Jamal. You okay? Jamal nodded slowly, but inside he felt something powerful rising. Justice. Something he hadn't tasted in a long, long time. Hours later, Elijah escorted Jamal into a 5-star hotel across from Eclipse Tower. The lobby shimmered with marble floors and golden lamps. Jamal hesitated at the entrance. They won't let me in. They will, Elijah said, stepping toward the front desk. This is my hotel. The receptionist's eyes widened. Mr. Grant, how can we assist you? I need a week's stay for my guest here, Elijah said. Suite level, full service. The receptionist smiled warmly at Jamal. Of course, sir. Sir. Jamal almost cried at that single word. When they reached the suite, Jamal stepped inside slowly. A king-sized bed, a kitchen, a bathroom bigger than the shelter's entire sleeping area. He turned around. Why me, Elijah? You could help anyone. Good. Elijah looked at him for a long moment. Maybe, he said quietly, but you were the one in front of me today, and something told me I needed to act. Jamal swallowed hard. This is the first time in years that I feel human. Elijah placed a hand on his shoulder. Good, because this is just the beginning.